My brother stole my girlfriend and is trying to marry her. I want to destroy their wedding by any means necessary. Am I the a-hole? Bro just cannot win, you know what I mean? But I don't know if you should go that far. I don't know, take the higher road. I, 39 male, have been a caretaker for my brother, Justin, 33 male, since he was 10 years old. I was only 16 years old when our parents passed away. Oh my God. I had to take care of the household because my brother was still very little. I did everything for him. He was the apple of my eye. I guess I spoiled him a lot. I never dated that much because I was the breadwinner for my brother. Please don't tell me this is going where I think it's gonna go. That is until I met Melissa, 35 female. It was almost 10 years ago. We dated for 2 years and it was great. My brother loved her. Maybe he loved her a little too much. One day I was eavesdropping a conversation she was having with her friend. The gist of the conversation was something like her friend was asking about me. Melissa said that she loves me a lot. She loves that I take care of her in every way. Guys, I'm seeing the cracks start to unfold. Get ready for this. But I am pretty average when it comes to doing the nasty. Her friend asked her if she was going to talk to me about it or how is she happy. She told her that her fixture is my brother. Why do this? Can you pick anyone but the brother? Please look at the 8 billion other people. She went on to explain how she and Justin have been having an affair for 8 months. She thinks it's justified because she thinks Justin is better in bed than I am. You can imagine how painful it was for me. I went inside the house pretending I didn't hear a thing. OP. I confronted Justin about it. I know how to get him to talk. I pressed this matter after he was denying it. He eventually broke down and said it was the truth. He didn't say anything because he didn't want to hurt me. He and Melissa are in love and want to get married, but Melissa won't leave me. Bro, okay, so Melissa is really messing up the game over here. Obviously, OP's brother should never have gone after her or let that happen. We don't know yet who initiated what. How could you do that to your own brother? God damn, guys, please take it easy. I was furious. I wanted to beat the crap out of him, but I just told him he is dead to me and left. I also kicked out Melissa, and she stayed with my brother and his roommates. My brother was banging on my door nonstop. I had to move in with a friend and told everyone to not disclose my location to my brothers. His calls and emails were all the same, that he was sorry and he never wanted to hurt me and he will break up with her. Okay, interesting. I stopped the bank account, something like a trust fund that I made for him that he can access when he was 25. He is not my brother anymore. As of right now, would you completely cut off the brother at this point? It is very, very arguably a unforgivable thing. But you know, I guess in fairness to OP literally like did so much, sacrifice at 16. I went into a deep depression. I didn't eat or sleep properly. I would have nightmares of my brother and my ex laughing at me that I suck in bed. Oh my God, that if I was good enough, she would have never left me. It got so bad that once I stood in front of a train track because it was too unbearable for me. Luckily, my friends saved me. I do not have much friends, but they were my rock. I stayed with them for a year. I went to therapy. I did group sessions. I had a lot of anxiety regarding intimacy, so I didn't date for a long time. My friend encouraged me to try. I did try once, but with a one-night stand, but it was bad for both of us. I still go to therapy to this day. Very good. I'm glad to hear that. But other aspects of my life have improved. I focused more on building new relationships with new people. I went to travel and explore more hobbies. I was living for myself. OP is at least taking this opportunity to be like, yo, why don't I do this for me? Which I completely applaud OP for doing. I am in a relationship with someone for 3 years now. Okay, we are engaged and we're having a get together. Okay, let's go. Wendy, 32 female, is a really nice person. She knows all about my insecurities and problems that I faced because of my brother. She was mature and patient with me. I was able to trust someone enough to be in a relationship. 2 days ago, I got an invitation in my mail about the wedding. And as the title says, it was from my brother, the cheating brother, with his stolen girlfriend. He has kept tabs on me from afar and invited me to his wedding with none other than Melissa. Ye old ex, come back again to smite OP and destroy his poor life. Oh my God. Looking at their names, it doesn't hurt that much now. I feel numb. If it was 8 years ago, I would have had a meltdown. I still feel this pain that I cannot be happy for my brother's big day. My fiance suggests that we shouldn't go and just delete the invite. I think that OP is not obligated at all to go to the wedding. So I don't know that the brother deserves that. I don't know that Melissa freaking deserves that. I'm sure the brother wants to reconcile. It seems like he wanted to reconcile and also break up with her. Remember that? Remember when he was like, hey, I'll break up with her. Don't worry, bro. It's all good, bro. Now we have a comment I'm going to read. And then right after that, we got our big, old, juicy update from Scrumptious Nutsack. Nice. I wouldn't have been as strong as you, man. I am in shock and inner rage of the heartless people who hurt you. I could never imagine how horrible this must have made you feel. OP, there is nothing more I want than to watch them suffer. I have no love or blessing left for him. When my parents died, they told me to look after him. And then when we were adults, we will look after each other. He threw it all away. It doesn't hurt that Melissa cheated. It hurts more that my own brother has cheated me. Damn, boy. Yeah, that's tough, dude. I mean, he literally, as a teenager, you know, kind of your prime years of youth and exploring, he probably sacrificed a whole lot to him. But guys, we have a big fact update. Hello, guys. I was thinking about making an update soon. I know people on Reddit really like updates. Yeah, they do. But I delayed because I have a baby girl now. Hey, congrats, OP. Man, my man deserves one freaking good thing in his life. Am I right, y'all? When I posted this, my fiance, now wife, was already 8.5 months pregnant. We had an early delivery. My baby girl, Emily, is so cute. She is a little bundle of joy for the both of us. She's so tiny and cute. She has eyes just like mine. I cannot believe we made something so precious. I spent as much time holding her as I could. My wife gets pissed because she thinks I'm going to coddle her to death. Also, my fiance and I got married pretty quickly. It was a court marriage. Neither of us wanted a big wedding anyways. We are all fine. Man, I'm so happy to hear that. You know, OP deserves a freaking W, bro. He's just been taking L's for years and years. And now the biggest L is coming back to haunt him of his brothers. I wonder if there is any sort of spark, any sort of inkling inside him that's like, this is my brother at the end of the day. And I want to try to reconnect with him. You know, I raised him. Both of them lost their parents. I guess OP's brother at an even younger age, which is probably even more traumatic than it was for OP, who had his own baggage to deal with, having his parents pass away at 16 and raising his little brother. Now, some of you asked me how my brother knew my address. Well, he didn't. He only knew my email, my work email. He probably knows what company I go to, so from there, he tracked down my email and sent an invitation. A few days ago, I got another email from my brother. I have forgot to block him. I usually don't check my work email because most of them are forwarded in Slack. My brother made a huge email. He basically told me he knows I will not come to his wedding, but still wanted me there for his big day. He apologized for what he has done and that he would never forgive himself for doing wrong. But he knew he shouldn't have slept with Melissa, but he did it anyways. Growing up, he had been jealous of me. He was jealous that I am the more capable brother who is just babysitting him. Damn, little backhanded compliment to yourself, my guy. When Melissa approached him, he felt like he had more importance. I see that he's trying. I don't know if that's the move. He felt like he had more importance. I mean, maybe he's just being honest. He knew he was wrong. He wanted to stop the day I said he was dead to me. He had a panic attack. He tried his best to contact me, but my friends refused to give up my location. He was begging them. He and Melissa split up for a while. He was desperate to find me. He hit rock bottom when he heard from a friend of his that I tried to unalive myself. Even his friends judged him harshly after what he has done. His friends saw me as a big brother too, so they all refused to be at his wedding with Melissa. Melissa and he reconciled 2 years ago. By that time, Melissa was a single mom. She feels guilty about what she has done because the father of her child has cheated on her and left her. There's this little mistress out there. Some call her Kay, you know what I mean? Some call her by her true full name. Karma. Come on now. Don't try to steal your partner's sibling and cheat on them and drive a wedge in the family. Don't do it. She also wanted to meet me and say sorry. From there, they rekindled their romance. Lastly, he said he cannot go through with the wedding? Wait, hold on. What's going on here? Let's see. I'm confused. He called it off and fought with Melissa and they broke up again. What? What is happening? Oh my God, bro. Honestly, at this point, I'm just like, can you just make up your mind? Like, if you're gonna be with the person that destroyed the relationship with your brother, can't you just at least commit to that? Like, he wants me to be with him in his most important day. He knows I have disowned him, but he is willing to do anything to reconcile, even if it takes him his whole life. That's it. There was a bunch of whining stuff that I ignored. I deleted the email. My therapist said forgiveness isn't something that is forced. It comes from a subconscious level when we know we can forgive that person. And it should be an option only when someone shows that they are sorry by their actions and not by their words. Honestly, I don't want to. I know I'm being petty and cruel, but I am happy the way my life is. Adding him will cause stress. My wife told me to forget it. My brother is not guilty at all. As soon as I forgive him, he would go back to Melissa. Interesting. He needs to figure out his life on his own. I've babied him enough. Now it's his turn to be an adult. Edit. People are asking me about my brother's life, so I wanted to clear it out. I do not have any idea what he's doing with his life. I moved my place away further from him. I transferred my job too. He must have known my place of work from where he got my email. For 10 years of my life, I pretended he doesn't exist along with therapy. I treated him like he was someone dead. I don't know what went down with him and Melissa, but from his email, I can paint a picture that they broke up after dating for a few years. His friends were unhappy with him dating this woman, and they decided to drop the wedding because of Melissa. My brother told me he doesn't want to get married unless I am there to support him. That could be anyone. Doesn't have to be Melissa. Why Melissa came back, I don't know. Maybe she thought I would accept her like a doormat. What? But she knows me better than that. I am stubborn when it comes to holding a grudge. Damn right he is. My boy is sticking with his grudges. I didn't know I had an impact on his friends so much. They were good people who would hang out with us. They were younger and they treated me like their own brother. I did get apologies from 2 of his friends who never had a positive male role model after I blocked my brother. I don't have contact with them. Now there's 2 final comments closing us out here. Well, OP, your brother is facing the consequences for his actions harshly, but every choice we make has a price, and he should have known that when he was meeting your ex behind your back. I don't blame you at all. Melissa got what she deserved. Her ex cheating on her is karma for having slept with your brother. What did I say? You've done so much for him, and I think that if he truly regrets what he did to you, he'll get back on his own feet without asking for your help. Is he asking for his help? I wonder how he even had the audacity to invite you to the wedding with his now ex, knowing how much both of them hurt you. You were right for not attending. Forgiveness can't be forced. Whenever you think you're ready to forgive him, you will. If not, then not. I don't judge you for not forgiving him. OP's reply. If he truly regretted this, then he wouldn't have decided to marry Melissa. Low key, why did he go through with that? The woman who destroyed my life along with my brother. What did he think? I will forget all the pain and trauma that he caused me? Forgiveness doesn't set you free. It creates a different trap. Over the years, I have learned forgiveness is a tool made by cowards. I got some thoughts in the breakdown after this story, but you're going in pretty deep, OP. Over the years, I have learned forgiveness is a tool made by cowards who just want to get away with their wrongdoings without facing any consequences. They think having forgiveness removes the toll of guilt that they have. True forgiveness is never forced. It is earned. He has still done nothing to earn that. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, man, this was a crazy one. So we have OP, who raised his brother after his parents passed away. It seems from the context we have, gave him a pretty good life, parenting him starting at 16, basically. Then the brother goes along and he either the ex, either Melissa or him decide to get together. Who knows who started it, but they did. They hooked up for a long time, had an affair. OP cut his brother out. And then they decided to get married all those years later. And then the marriage was off again. So, I mean, so many questions. Number one, for OP's brother, why then go back to Melissa? And you broke up with her again, it seems, over your brother. So why did you ever go back to her the second time in the first place? Like, the affair was already like really, 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 really bad. It also wasn't just one time hooking up. This was like for 8 months. I am just completely confused. Why would you go back? Why would you decide to agree to get married to her? Oh my God. I think OP is harder on the brother than I would be personally. I mean, I would definitely be mad if my own freaking brother like stole my woman from me. Maybe there's some insecurities there as well. I mean, this whole thing sparked from Melissa not liking how OP was in the bedroom. So maybe there's some insecurity there on OP's side. He laid down the hammer pretty dang hard, I do have to say. So I have a few questions for you all down in the comments below. What would you have done if you were OP? How would you have handled the brother? Would you have instantly gone no contact? Would you have figured out a different plan? Would you have waited it out? Let me know what you think down below on that. I'm very curious to know, but I'm also curious to read y'all another story. Let's get into it. My husband is cheating and lying. I can feel it, but now I know the whole truth and it's more disgusting than I imagined. I want divorce. Am I the a-hole? You know, there's always these instances where there's the cheating. It gets worse. Guys, how does it always get worse? Only one way to know, I guess. So I, female 29, have been with my husband, 30 male, for 7 years and married for 4. I've never had reason to suspect he was unfaithful to me or even remotely dissatisfied with our marriage. He likes to joke that we're still living in the honeymoon phase, nearly 5 years and 2 kids in. I wouldn't have questioned that or him were it not for a surprise I found in his car last month. When buckling our daughter into her car seat, I noticed something slotted between the cushions. I pulled it out and saw that it was a tampon. This wouldn't have been so unusual had I not had an IUD that had stopped my period for the past year. Okay, so it's like, there's a tampon here, but I ain't been using them for the past 12 months, and I'm pretty sure I would know which ones I was buying. I mean, you all can inform me in the comments, but I mean, you gotta have like a brand, right? You gotta have your own thing, right? And I didn't even recognize the wrapper style. I brought it to my husband's attention, and he didn't seem to understand what it was, let alone why I was holding it, until I told him where I'd found it and why I was almost certain it wasn't mine. Bro was like, I don't know, babe. You know, it's sometimes the tampons, they just randomly appear, right? Like in Pokemon, you just run around and then tampons are just popping out of the ground. He shrugged and said it probably belonged to his coworker, Fiona. It's not uncommon for my husband to carpool to lunch with his coworkers, and we're both fairly close to Fiona and her husband. So I figured it was entirely possible the tampon had slipped out of her purse whenever he had driven with them and offered a ride. No big deal. Okay. I mean, Maybe. I mean, definitely sounds like a plausible scenario, but is this where the cheating incurs? Is this what goes down? I put it out of my mind until we had dinner with Fiona and her husband a couple of weeks later. I had sincerely wanted to believe my husband. I just couldn't get over the way it had been tucked into the seat and how my husband seemed to not have any regard for it whatsoever. Maybe playing dumb. I don't know. I did something that I now feel kind of crazy for doing. I faked an emergency and asked Fiona if she had any tampons while we were out together. I think it's pretty innocuous. You know, there's a lot worse things that people have done on very half-baked suspicions, even more half-baked suspicions of their partner cheating. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Maybe not the best thing in the world either, but I digress. She handed me one almost identical to the tampon I had found in our back seat. Fiona, look, I know you're pulling up in my swamp trying to get with my Shrek, but this Shrek is taken, okay? Back up. I don't know, y'all. What do you think? It's getting a little more sus, if you ask me. And I breathed a sigh of relief. So the tampon there was probably the same tampon here, and in all likelihood, there was an innocent explanation as to why it had been left in the backseat in the first place. Ah, okay. So it's like, yeah, it is her tampon, but because they do carpool regularly, it could have just slipped out of the purse. Okay, yes. I see that. I thought I'd seen the last of the out-of-place feminine hygiene products until I found another tampon this morning. This time in my sock drawer. I fell physically ill at the thought of my husband having an affair and even more nauseated at the thought that the woman might have left these tampons out for me to find. That's low-key pretty sinister. Like, you're literally just leaving the lightest, most innocuous breadcrumbs. You're exactly on the line of like, is my husband cheating? Is he not? Like, there could be a perfectly reasonable explanation. It's not like a condom or something like that, but I don't know. It's that person is playing mind games. My God, you need to become a professional interrogator or something, because this is crazy. If it was my husband's coworker, why would she give herself away by offering me one the other night? Yeah, I guess if it was that, kind of goes against the theory of it was intentionally placed, I guess. In any other situation, I would want to talk to my husband about this, but I feel too sick and embarrassed to approach him with what I found. What should I do? And there are some relevant comments. I had a period 30 years and never stuck my tampon in a sock drawer. Trust your gut and get cameras. Neither have I. I've considered so many explanations for the tampon that wouldn't implicate my husband, but none of them make sense really. I'm terrified to set up a camera if it means confirming what I suspect right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The camera before the conversation, I don't know. Has Fiona been over to your house and had time to plant the tampon? I did not know tampons were trees, but she's been to our house many times and vice versa. To my knowledge, she wasn't over any time in the past week. So if she planted that second tampon, I see, planted like in the sock drawer. Okay, I get you. She had to have found a window of time when I wasn't home. Anytime she and her husband visit, we all stay downstairs, and you have to go really out of your way to make it to our bedroom, i.e. around our dogs, over the safety gate, past the other bedrooms. Not saying it's impossible, but definitely tricky to do on a quick bathroom break, I would guess. How old are your kids? Could they have found a tampon and put it in a random place? Wow, I did not think of that, but that makes a lot of sense. 2 and almost 4, both have a mischievous streak, so I wouldn't want to rule out the possibility of one of them moving stuff around, but I couldn't imagine how they'd get their hands on one, possibly 2 tampons that I never bought. I mean, that kind of spells that out right there. Okay, so let's take a quick break. We got an update coming in, but I mean, personally, I feel like asking the husband would be the right move. And you could even be like, I'm not even necessarily trying to like accuse you or anything. I'm just kind of like getting lost in the sauce of paranoia or something like that. You know, I don't think that would be, taken too harshly by a person who's like pretty level-headed and is a good partner and all of that stuff. I don't know. I mean, you tell me in the comments, like, what would you do at this point? It feels like the paranoia is kind of starting to build in OP, which is unfortunate. And I don't want to see that for OP, but we have some answers. Let's get into the update. Contemplating every possible source of 2 tampons has been my personal hell for the past few weeks, but I wanted to share an update. Shortly after posting on here, I told my sister what happened. The tampon in the backseat and the sock drawer. My husband's cluelessness, the tampon from Fiona, and all the things I suspected but did not want to believe. We compared tampons, save for the one in the backseat I had already discarded, and they were a match, just in different absorbencies. So I'm guessing it's like the same brand, same type, but slightly different. I hadn't left either in a place where my husband or daughters would have found them and moved them around. My daughters didn't know what they were or where they came from. My sister was convinced it was Fiona, either effing my husband, effing with me, or both. Damn, not getting double effed out here. No, we can't let that happen to OP. Direct confrontation of either party still seemed like a bad idea, so she suggested inviting Fiona and her husband over for our Labor Day barbecue. Unfortunately, they already had plans. I could see why OP is hesitant to talk to Fiona out of fear for maybe falsely accusing her and maybe something else. What about the husband? I mean, you said like the honeymoon phase of 5 years, etc., etc. Like, it seems like he is pretty down to be with you, and hopefully in that case more understanding. My sister and I agreed that it was too soon for cameras without any other evidence, so it was just a waiting game from there. Watching my husband for any changed behavior, there was none, or the house for any misplaced/foreign items, there were none also, and even the girls for any new friends they might have met. My sister's husband was adamant on the last point, and partly why he was inclined to believe that the tampons were harmless. If anything had happened in or around our home, he said, it would be nearly impossible to keep it from me and the girls, since my husband was the one taking them to and from daycare and most activities during that week. I felt a good bit of consolation in that. It wasn't until my younger daughter, 2 years old, came down with something last week that I felt any differently. I wanted to be the one home taking care of her, but my husband insisted that I stay at work while he stayed home with her. I was okay with that. My sister and her husband figured it was a good sign that he would take time off at a moment's notice, and at that point, we were already beginning to put the tampon fiasco behind us. By the 3rd or 4th day, I was just happy to see a nearly healthy child and a husband who was helping see her through it. Toward the end of the week, though, I came home to something strange. Man, OP is just not getting any breaks over here, guys. My goodness. The toddler that I'd left that morning in an old PJs was now dressed in a onesie I had never seen before. Man, is this person dressing the baby? I'm lost. Is this mind games? Bruh, I do not know what's happening over here. Also, with a tiny clip in her hair. I can't say that I have the sharpest memory, but I have a pretty good sense of what my kids wear on a day-to-day basis, particularly what kinds of clothes they wear. I'd sworn off the full-length sleep suits with snaps across the front long before we'd ever had our second. So this is also something that, like, not only would she probably not buy, but that they wouldn't have in the house, because I'm sure, unless she just completely didn't communicate that to her husband, I have to imagine that he would know that. So it's like, why would he buy it? Kind of strange. The long snaps are just a pain in the ass and a no-go for efficient diaper changes, in my opinion. It's just not something that I would dress her in, and my husband knows as much. There you go. He doesn't plan for or buy the girls' clothes, and he certainly doesn't accessorize them. So I was bewildered and kind of floored at the thought of someone around our sick child without my knowledge. I didn't think twice, and I went straight to my husband to ask if anyone had been over to see him or the girls. He seemed confused, like before, and asked me why I would think that it had just been him and the kids all day. I asked him again if someone had so much as stopped to say hello, and he denied it. He told me to calm down. I might have lashed out and come forward with the accusations right then and there, but our oldest daughter was in the room and she sensed something was up. In a calmer voice, I asked him a 3rd time if anyone had been around our children, and my husband swore that the girls hadn't been around anyone but him. He also denied buying new clothes or doing anyone's hair. With our daughter in the room and my emotions all over the place, I decided to leave it. I couldn't make sense of it then, and it hardly seems clear now after I've driven myself half crazy with explanations that aren't adding up. And we've got a few relevant comments here. To answer a couple of questions, my 2-year-old can only string together a couple of words at a time. When I ask her about her time with daddy or her clothes/bow, she answers based on the cues I give her. Who gave you that pretty bow? Then she repeats, pretty bow. Bruh, come on, help me out here. Help me out. Help the girl out. Or mama/daddy over and over again. My older daughter, almost 4, was at daycare that morning and she can't recall anything different from that day. Doesn't remember the PJ change or the hair clip, so my guess is that she was changed sometime that morning, but I'm not totally sure. Yeah, that sucks because it's like you would ask the kids like, hey, did a new friend come over? Did a new friend help give you a new pretty bow or something like that? But the kids literally, oh man, the kids don't, the 4-year-old doesn't know, the 2-year-old can only say bow. Bruh, every time, bro. The OP is being tortured with this. Oh my God. I have a 45-minute commute to work, so stopping by for lunch isn't really feasible. My sister has been kind enough to leave work and drive past a few times here and there, and she hasn't seen anything out of the ordinary. We have a Ring camera at the front door, and I've got the app on my phone with notifications on. Nothing there yet. If anyone has recommendations for more discreet surveillance, I'd be open to it. I'm just the least tech-savvy person and worry another camera will be easy to detect, lol. And yes, we get our carbon monoxide detectors tested regularly. Is it possible one of the clips came from the daycare? Interesting question. Also, maybe the onesie, I don't know why. Maybe she soiled it. I could see the hair clip being a possibility, but less likely on the onesie. My younger daughter hadn't been to daycare in days, and if either of them had returned with something like that before, I would have noticed, especially since it was the kind of onesie I hate with a passion. People comment that they can't wait to find out the ending to the saga. My money's on the Hollywood horror ending. Hopefully dreamed up the dogs too, so I can finally stop picking at their imaginary craps and whatnot. My goodness. On to the final update. Sam, you know one thing I love about you?
My bodacious bod.
Yeah, you do have a bodacious bod that it handles a lot of food.
I'm trying to get thick.
You're trying to get thick with 3 C's. You want that bodacious bod to get more bodacious.
But I can't do that if I don't eat like I thought.
I think today's sponsor could actually help you out, Sam.
Who's that?
It's HelloFresh.
Just simply shop HelloFresh Market and take your pick from a curated selection of over 100 add-on items.
That's a lot of food, Sam.
It's amazing.
And Sam, it doesn't just help your beautiful body. It also helps your wallet.
I want my wallet to be thick along with me.
That's right. I mean, it could be so much cheaper than takeout. Even going and grocery shopping, you know, pushing a hot cart in a grocery store.
Yeah, ew.
Disgusting.
Gross.
Why do that when you could just have HelloFresh?
HelloFresh is the best solution.
It really is.
Just choose your recipes and receive fresh, pre-portioned ingredients so you can get back to cooking.
And Sam, it's already cheaper than takeout and groceries, but you know we got a big deal for our beautiful fans.
Go to HelloFresh.com/50OKOP and use code 50OKOP for 50% off plus free shipping.
Guys, we're giving you the deals. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/50OKOP. Use code 50OKOP and we'll give you 50% off plus free shipping.
You gotta go with America's #1 meal kit.
Ow, ow! After nearly losing my mind over a hair clip and a onesie, I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with the accusations and half-baked guesswork. I'd gotten so absorbed in the paranoia and misery of my situation that I wasn't sleeping, eating, or caring for my kids the way I should have been. And I wasn't getting any answers. So I decided to pull the trigger on the hidden cameras and have them shipped to my sister's house. Don't know if I'm the biggest fan, but okay. With my brother-in-law agreeing to help with the install/setup over at mine. Before the cameras were ever delivered though, I got my long-awaited confirmation last week. Y'all, is this going to be what we think it is? A Ring notification had alerted me to motion at the front door while I was at work, half expecting to see a delivery person, pet, or a lawn care salesman for the 15th time. You can imagine my surprise when I saw a clip of a young woman leading my daughter into the house hand in hand with my husband and other daughter close behind them. Okay, yo, it's one thing to take someone to your house, you know, like after hours, cheat on the person you promised to spend your life with, the mother of your children, and you're letting her see the children, take care of the children, walk the children. God damn, bro. This man with my husband and other daughters close behind them. The girls were supposed to be in daycare and my husband at work. The woman, as far as I knew, was living 2 states away with a court order keeping her there. I immediately called my husband to ask him what the F this woman was doing in our house. He didn't answer. So I texted him. Even in his stupidity, he probably realized that he messed up by going to the front door, knowing I had gotten the ring notification and wanted to delay the inevitable. By the 5th or 6th subsequent call, though, he did pick up. The woman on the camera was my husband's sister. Okay? As I would find out later, she was likely the source of both the tampons, the onesie, and the bow. She is also a registered and a recovering addict who spent the better part of her adolescence and young adulthood coercing the silence of another one of my husband's family members after she had SA'd them. Oh my God. This is so much worse. Why would he do that in front of his own children? Because it was one of her husband's family members. I don't even know what to think right now. I hadn't seen or heard from her in years. And from the way my husband talked about her, I didn't expect I ever would. But here she was in our house with our children. Suffice to say, I was livid. It wasn't an affair at all, and still somehow infinitely more disgusting knowing who it was and why all of this had been happening. Apparently, my sister-in-law, fresh off another stint in rehab, had wanted to reconnect and make amends with people she'd hurt, and my husband was high on that list. My husband didn't want me to know, or worse, try and keep her family, our children, away from her, so they'd been meeting in secret, often at our house while I was at work. They would enter through the garage in my husband's car, so the ring camera at the front of the door wouldn't tip me off. Yeah, like it's all kind of coming together now. Like he has denied everything. Almost certainly, it seems, all arrows are pointing to the fact that all of these different clues that OP was just going crazy over and diving into her paranoia spaghetti was the sister, and she did talk to him about it multiple times, it seems. Why sneak your children to see her without telling your wife? I am at a complete loss for you, my dude. She spent the night on a weekend I had been on a business trip and slept in our bed. Is this going even further worse than I thought? Hopefully this doesn't go Game of Thrones. Please, God. She babysat our girls on a night my husband told me he had dropped them off at his parents'. So she was alone. Oh my God. This is bad. She brought the girls' clothes and dressed my youngest in the onesie and the bow that my husband had promised on his life I had dressed her in myself. I am getting, red flags is like a understatement. This is very dangerous, like very, very dangerous. I mean, the fact that, why would the sister, I guess you got to change a baby eventually, but something about buying this onesie and then changing the baby is very, very, very much not sitting well with me. My husband swore this was all in my head. Tampons, the onesie, the bow, and all the rest. He was perfectly content to watch me agonize for weeks over a woman he insisted didn't exist. Shrugged off each progressively more unsettling discovery like it was news to him and telling me I was being irrational. He insinuated that I was experiencing postpartum depression 2 years after I had given birth. Bruh, how post can it go, dude? My God, just more BS from this man. 4 years after I told him that one of my biggest fears for motherhood was to suffer postpartum depression like my mother had with me, to not be fully present for our babies and be left with the world of guilt and regret as they grew older. He told me I wasn't sleeping enough, that I missed the girls too much, that I needed to step back and evaluate the state of my mental health. I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was my husband and because no other version of events made sense. Now, after a month of this mind F, I have nothing to show for my trust but his pathetic situation and a lot of anger. And it ends on one final comment and answer. Call the cops and a lawyer. OP says, already on it. Believe me, we're going scorched earth with this mother effer. Oh my God. When it gets worse. I'm so completely lost. Opie's husband just did not have to do this in the, oh my God, like at all. Like, I would love to know why. Like, why did Opie's husband, what possible justification could he possibly have for leaving his children with his sister alone? I just don't understand it at all. Why can't the two of them get together as adults? I don't know, like go out, go get dinner somewhere, talk, get a coffee or something. I don't know, like anything in the world but what he did. I'm glad that OP is taking the action that she is. I don't know that it's clear or not if she's going to divorce. It wasn't said explicitly. I would imagine, though, when she says scorched earth, that's what she means. I hope so. This is insanity. Oh my God. Please let us know in the comments what you all think. What's your breakdown? What's your take? Any advice, honestly, for OP or anybody in OP's position? Would love to hear it down below. But without further ado, let's get into our final story. I want to kick my husband's parents to the streets. What they do to me is unacceptable. Am I the a-hole? Man, you're really trying to kick Granny and Grandpa out here on the streets. Just like with their dentures falling out, like, please don't do it to me. God damn. Give Granny some peace. Or maybe not. I, female 26, and my husband, male 27, live with his parents. Didn't mean to emphasize that, but good for you guys. I sound like an a-hole now. His father has had some health issues and needed some care, and we agreed to move in to help out. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Father-in-law is generally doing better now, but there's still a few things he can't do anymore that my husband does now instead. We've discussed moving out. I want to, but my in-laws are very resistant to the idea, stating that there's plenty of room here and they don't know what they do without us, etc. While we don't pay his parents to live here, their decision, we pay for groceries for everyone and several household bills, including electricity, internet, TV packages, etc. The house mortgage is free, which I'm guessing means it's paid off. I also do all the household cleaning and cooking. I arrange and take all the pets to their veterinary appointments too. I do work from home, so this is a bit easier for me as I'm able to be flexible. We also pay half of any house modifications / upgrades as it'll be our house one day. Recently, I've begun to feel resentful of the fact that once they are all done with work, they can come home and relax, whereas I finish work and have to cook, clean, and have no help. Y'all, we've seen this more and more recently, actually. I don't know if it's a trend or these stories are just finding us, but more and more where the woman has to do all the work. Why? John the feminist over here. On weekends, I spend half the day cleaning the house while they do what they want. I'm such a big proponent of like, get someone in to help clean. Why should we waste our valuable time and life cleaning, albeit coming from someone who ends up cleaning a lot on the weekends and just generally throughout the week. I just don't think it's the best use of our time and energy. I'm trying to get back on that. I'm trying to get back on getting that out of the way and just kind of like paying someone to help do that and just enjoying life a little bit more. You know what I mean? This all came to a head last week. I was really unwell. I felt the worst I've ever felt and wanted nothing more than to sleep. However, once it got around to dinner time, I was awoken by my mother-in-law to ask when I was getting up to make dinner. Have you heard of DoorDash, Granny? Google it. I didn't want to cause an argument, so I just got up and made dinner for them. But as I was in the kitchen, struggling not to pass out, the three of them sat watching a movie, waiting for me to bring in their food. The dad and the mom, I understand more because they have some health issues that they need. But Habibti, what are we doing? Come on, buddy. Do better. I didn't say anything at first. I waited until my husband and I were alone to bring up my concerns with the lack of help. My husband apologized and offered to help more, which I accepted. But the next day, an exact repeat. I had to drag myself out of bed to cook, and once I've brung them their food, my mother-in-law says, "Oh, look how truly awful. Poor you. Oh, by the way, later, would you mind giving everyone an extra clean? I don't want to get whatever you have." Golly. At which point I accused them of treating me like a live-in maid and not caring about me outside of the services I provide for them. I pointed out that I wouldn't be in the communal areas if I hadn't been dragged out to cook and that they could have handled one meal themselves. My husband sat there in silence. He thinks I should have brought it up more carefully at a time when I wasn't so emotional. I agree that I probably should have, but I was sick and stressed. I want to move out, but husband and in-laws are still against it. Nothing has changed with what they expect from me. I got no apology, just silent treatment from mother-in-law for a couple of days. So, am I the a-hole? And we're going to get into it. There's a few quick comments. Thank you for all the comments. This is my first post, so I'm not sure if this is the best way, but I'm going to address some of the questions. Here we go. It didn't start off with me doing everything. Before we moved in with my in-laws, my husband and I split everything equally, and that worked great. Once we moved here, I picked up a bunch of the household chores because I work from home and I'm here. It just made sense. Slowly over time, there's just been things added here and there, and that snowballed into the current situation. I have stood up for myself a few times, but it's an incredibly difficult situation. I'm very aware this is not my house. They are not my parents, and the things I would say to my own parents are not the same I feel I could say to his. I moved across the country before we got married. None of my friends are here. Most of my closest friends are my husband's friends, wives, etc. I don't have any family nearby. I've always felt as though if I pushed too hard, it would be everyone against me, and I didn't realize before now how toxic of an environment that is. The inheritance of the house isn't something I want or need. This was never supposed to be a long-term thing, and I guess I've just felt pressure to contribute to certain things involving the house because we do live here, and my husband will get the house one day. He's only a child. Damn, calling the hubby a child. All right, OP. Okay, so let's take a little break real quick. So to me, I feel like the husband is not really hearing her out. I think he should have tried to tackle this earlier. Like, I think it's fair and reasonable to expect someone to notice, but also I could see where maybe he wouldn't. Maybe it slips under his radar. Maybe he's woefully, blissfully ignorant and just like kicking his feet up and just eating popcorn and watching movies all day long while his wife is doing all the chores. I'm curious on what y'all think in the comments. What should OP do right now? Should OP just like stop doing all the chores? We had a recent story where someone did that. Should OP just kind of like force her hand, try to move out? But let's get into the next part. Overall, it's just been very eye-opening to realize maybe I'm not being as silly as I often am made to think. All the little things spiral into one big mess. And my husband should be sticking up for me, not contributing to the problem. Like your boy said. I've tried talking to him about things several times, and he'll be helpful for a couple of days before resorting back to Mummy's Little Prince. I know I've been needing to get it out for a while. I think it's the push I needed to make such a massive life decision. Thank you, Reddit. And final response to a comment. What exactly is it that your husband does that your father-in-law can't do? OP says, at this point, I say he's recovered enough that he should be able to do most things, but it's mostly walking his dog, anything that involves any sort of lifting, nothing that couldn't be done by outside sources if we were to leave. Okay, so yeah, it seems like, okay, walking the dogs, get a dog walker. And, I could see OP wanting to be there with his parents. I don't know that that's necessarily the issue, like being close to the parents. It's the fact that the parents are treating them this way. So how can you keep your wife in this environment? And I think the biggest thing, it's not even keeping her there. It's not even trying, not even being like, yo, yeah, let's try to figure something out. Where can I help to pitch in? And I think she deserves a little bit of a break. I feel like there's 100 different things that they could do to try to remedy this. But the fact that they're just kind of ignoring it, the mother-in-law is giving the cold shoulder, I'm not liking the vibes. But let's get into the update. I'm not really sure how to best go about updating, but I guess here is as good as any. Firstly, thank you to everyone that reached out. I haven't been able to get back to everyone, but I did read every message. Now for the part you all want and crave. After making this post, I started putting my wages into my own bank account. I removed all of my savings from our joint savings account and transferred everything into my own safety account just in case. All right, things are getting serious here. This turned out to be the best decision because I found out I was pregnant. What? roughly 2 weeks after this post. Talk about timing. That is crazy. I'd been told at 15 that due to some medical conditions, I'd never be able to get pregnant naturally, so it was a complete shock. Once I had a scan to check if everything was okay, thankfully it was, we told my in-laws, and this is what gave me the final shove I needed. Put ICU in the comments if you know where this is going. Immediately names were being thrown around, and my mother started talking about going and reducing her hours to part-time / early retirement so she could be around to raise the baby. This rubbed me completely the wrong way. I didn't want anyone else raising my baby. Colors for the nursery and themes, etc. were all being discussed constantly, but never with me or my opinions being taken into consideration. And with a week, I felt I was just an incubator. Bruh. I'm just a sack of meat keeping this little thing alive. Final straw happened when myself, my husband's cousin, female 29, and my mother-in-law went shopping. I had been looking at the different kind of breast pumps before being told that I would be bottle feeding, so everyone could help out. Guys, have you heard of this thing called a line? Have you heard of this thing called asking people what they want? I didn't want to cause a scene in the middle of the shop, so I moved on to outfits. But everything I picked up or looked at was either the wrong color or style or something. I'd picked out one outfit, which would be my first baby purchase, and my mother-in-law snatched it out of my hands before I could pay, telling me that it was the wrong sort of outfit. It wasn't gender neutral enough, and if the baby is a boy like we're hoping, then it's far too feminine. Oh, God, no thank you. I didn't need to be told what I could and couldn't dress my own child in, nor did I appreciate the suggestion that they would all prefer a boy, let alone being told how I would be feeding my child. So I left. I tried talking to my husband on 3 separate occasions, and he either made excuses or blew me off entirely. I couldn't handle it anymore. Oh, wait a second. I thought she meant like she left the store or something, but she's like leaving. I packed my bags and went to stay with my sister for a week. My husband called once and asked me to go home. Once. I made it clear I wouldn't be returning to live in that house, that I would raise my baby on my own if he didn't want to leave, but I would not allow my child to be raised in such a toxic environment. As a big surprise to no one, he stayed put. And after that, I got spam with texts in the family group chat, but I left and deleted them all. I've started the divorce process, and hopefully, as I've saved every disgusting message from either my ex or his family about both myself and my baby, they won't get any form of custody. Although, since I announced the gender, they've all gone quite silent. What is a gender? I now have a small 3-bedroom house. That's great. I'm only renting for now while I wait for the divorce to finalize, but it's plenty big enough for the 2 of us. My daughter will grow up surrounded by my family and plenty of cousins to play with. The house is pretty bare at the minute, as I only got the keys a couple of days ago, but I have time before she gets here to make sure everything is ready. Thank you again for all the kind words. The situation didn't play out how I'd hoped, but I can't help feeling like it's for the best. There's something we always say on the show. You know what it is? Do you guys remember the thing that Sam and I always say? Are there red flags earlier? And we can be blinded, right? We can miss these signs. It happens to the best of us. But I feel like how OP's boyfriend didn't, stand up for her, just try to help her, or really do anything for OP is pretty telling to me, kind of showing his true colors. And that if they were in the marriage, I mean, imagine once the baby's in the picture, it's only going to get worse, especially if they have the baby living there with the parents. That's just a lot. I think that's just a lot. I think OP could have stepped in and maybe figured out a scenario where, simply if they are a 2-income household, like, hey, could we get some sort of help cleaning? Could we get some sort of aid that is not the 2 of us having to do it? Also, just pitching in something. I mean, you were doing half of the chores in the beginning. What's so different with now? I guess he was helping with the parents, but I don't know. I just got the feeling that OP's husband was very much ignoring OP, and that he wasn't really going to make the effort. And if he didn't make the effort there, is he going to make the effort in other places? I don't know, but y'all tell me what you think in the comments below. Did OP make the right decision of leaving, going out on her own? Should she have tried to stay and work it out? Who is the a-hole? Let me know in the comments below. Love ya. See you next time.